welcome back. This is Dave, aka Serial Killer. Welcome to video episode part 6. What we're going to be covering right now is rejoining two pieces which are a part of a whole. Specifically, this one is the torso piece for Mark 6 armor, and as anyone who has worked with this knows, you can't get it on its one piece. So basically, you end up having to cut it in half and put the back piece on, put the front piece on, and then use mounting hardware to reconnect it. So we're going to cover the reconnection today. What I've basically done so far is just simple masking tape. Normally I'd use green tape, but I wanted a bit more holding strength, and I find the white masking tape has a bit more strength. So yeah, it's just nothing fancy, just held back together, front back, reunited. And the way this is going to be done is it'll be held together magnetically on the bottom. Now, I've already gone ahead and made the magnets, well, not made the magnets, but made the assembly that will hold it. And this is basically what it is. It is 4 90-degree brackets that have been epoxied to one side of each magnet. This is 2 magnets right now. They have about each a 3-pound holding strength, so when you combine them together, 6 pounds of strength. They're pretty strong. They're not as strong as natural neodymium magnets, but for the application we don't really need any more than this. And this is basically it. Nothing too fancy. 2 pieces, and they link together. And what these will do is they'll be permanently affixed and lined up on the lower half of the torso, and we'll take a look at that right now. And what we're basically looking at right now is the lower portion of the torso where it joins together at the bottom, and we'll take a closer look here. Alright, and I've taped up the area, so you can see here and here. So it divides the 2 pieces, because basically when I pour into here, it'll act as a dividing line and keep the resin mixture localized. And I'll basically build a dam on the side over here to contain it, just coming across here, because I'm just going to pour a layer that'll just cover this by about 1 millimeter. Afterwards, what's going to happen is once that's set up, I've made these pieces, which are basically made out of wrought aluminum, just because it's easier to manage. I cut it to length and then bent it, and then with a rotary tool and a cutoff wheel, I indented it. Just like this, I made a couple grooves into it, and the way this sits, it'll sit beneath the tape, right in here. And this will be locked into position with resin on this side right here. So that's where it'll naturally sit. And about 1/4 of an inch of it to 3/8 of an inch will protrude through the tape, breaching in to this cavity here on the corresponding piece. Now the purpose behind this is, once this is locked into position on this side, the protruding piece, I'll then pour this side, and it'll encase the protruding part of the aluminum rod, creating a perfectly aligned cavity for this to reinsert into when you reassemble the chest piece. Just something to hold it in its position, and then the magnets will take care of the rest. Okay, here we go. First things first, we need to make a dam here, just to keep all the resin from running off when we pour it. Basically, I'm only going a couple millimeters over these steel plates, just to encase them and to lock the magnet into position. So let's get to building our dam. I'm just going to be using modeling clay, because it's nice and quick. And really, I don't care how this looks. It doesn't have to be a straight edge like the locks did, or else I would have been using playing cards or something to that effect to basically make another mold or a template. Well, there we go. And that is how we do that. It was actually quite simple of a process, and nice and quick. I like it. Okay, our rondo's mixed. It's a 50-50 mixture, nice and runny. And let's start our pour.
giving amps a break. The acoustic brunch is on. Y108 rocks.
And I've made a dam on the opposite side, just because I figured, why not do them both at once? Pouring in a nice thin even stream. I don't want to lock too much air. Oops. Alright, everything's covered. Looks pretty good, I'm happy with it. Now we just sit, let this cure, and move on to step 2. Alright, now that everything is all set, it's nice and firm. Oh, magnets. I've built a dam up on either side now, and this will be for the second pour to encapsulate this peg. Now the peg goes through the tape here, as you can see. What I've done is on this receiving end, I've coated the peg with petroleum jelly so that the resin and the rondo will not stick to it. So that's just loosely put in there right now, and I've actually carved a recess for it, if you can see there. I did carve a recess for it to sit into. And, you know, my original idea of doing this in 2 pours, you know, caused a little more work for myself. So the next side, I will absolutely do it in 1 pour, so I won't have to do the damming twice, and I won't have to cut a recess for the peg to sit into, because it actually brought it a bit too high. I mean, it wasn't really well thought through on my part, but hey, live and learn, right? Anyways, the peg is all set. I'm just going to mix up the rondo now. I have it portioned out here, and just going to add the hardener, stir it up, and then we'll do the last pour. Okay, just mixing everything up right now. If you can see, it's really red. Added a lot of hardener to this, purposely because I want it to cure quickly. I don't want it to have too much time to try and work its way through the little tape border I made here. So, like I said in video 1, adding extra hardener does not make a cure any harder. It just makes it cure faster. That's it. So when you want to work and you know, be able to use time to your advantage, then follow the directions. You're ever in a situation where you want it to harden faster, 1.5 to 2 times the amount of hardener, and the working time for this all of a sudden becomes about, I'd say about 3 minutes from 10. Alright, just clean it up here, and we're ready to pour. Nice thin stream. I just want to make sure I wrap around the peg in the recess that I created for it. And I'm starting to see the rondo come through on the other side from beneath it, so I know we're good over there. Now we'll start flowing down to this side. Alright, that should be good for that side. And now, last but not least, the last side. Just give it a second for that to settle in. Now we'll hit it again. Okay. Just giving it some taps just to try and surface any last minute spots. Help the bubbles come up. Okay. And we should be good. Just going to add a little bit more because I did make a large amount of this rondo, and I have nothing else really to do with it. And this is one of the situations where I didn't want to be short, so I'm end up wasting about an ounce. This is a 3-ounce cup, which is nice and thick, perfect to use for this type of stuff because thermally it won't break through it, which is nice because if you use the beer cups, it does break through. Alright, so our pour is done. I'm going to let it start to heat up. Once it heats up and gels, then I'll remove the tape from the outside and pull the pieces apart just to make sure that the rondo on this side is not sticking to the post that I covered with petroleum jelly. And lather, rinse, repeat. I'll do the other side in one pour this time, and we'll take a look at how it is after everything is set up. Okay, everything is set, and this is what we're left with. Here's the front plate. This is the join we're left with. Nice and flush, magnet and a peg. Same on the other side, only it's the negative. I had the peg stick in to the back piece. So this is how we're going to connect. And let's see the back piece. Back piece is the same deal. No peg, peg. And once again, nice and flush. And being the fact that we did it this way, it will line up. And this is the first go. Let's see how it reconnects. If all goes well, it should just snap back into place. Let's have a look. And it's in. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Wow. Okay. Yeah, it pulls on the top right now because there's nothing supporting it. But this is the join we're looking at here. Nice, flush. Looks pretty good to me. And it pulls apart. The problem is there's nowhere to grab this thing if you're not wearing it. Magnets are actually quite strong. There, it's apart, and it's back. It's apart, it's back. Beautiful. Alright, now we're moving on to the reconnection of the top between the front and the back. Basically what I'm using, I have here some magnets. They're rather strong and rather small. They're basically computer hard drive magnets, and they were mounted on brackets. What I've done is I've cut the bracket down. The bracket used to be much bigger. Now this face here is the magnet. You can see it's quite thin. It's about a millimeter thick. This is just the mounting plate. And here's another one that I've cut down. And as you can see, they're quite strong. So a little bit, oh crap. A little bit goes a long way. These are probably for the same size, or for the how much smaller they are. They have probably more pulling force than the magnets that were used for the base alignment on the chest piece. So let's take a look at how we're going to mount these. All right, just so we can have a point of reference. This is the front of the chest. That's obviously the back. What I've done is I've just put a playing card in here. That's where the division is, and the magnet is basically going to get epoxied in place like that. That's about it. Let's take a closer look here. Now I've gone and I've flattened down the edge that the magnet will sit on, just so it's a flush area, so when I epoxy it, it's going to have a nice good hold. What'll happen on the other side here, I'm going to mount a steel bracket. So basically it'll use magnetic force to hold the two pieces together. And the brackets I'm starting with are these T-brackets. These are normally used to do simple joinery to hold a piece of wood together, normally like cabinetry. What I'm going to do is I'll end up cutting it down to size, so it'll be a smaller T. And my goal is to have the cut down T portion line up with the magnet, so it's a good contact surface. So it'll be cut on this side, and once the length is determined, it'll be cut there as well. And it will mount against this surface here, and I'll bend it. So this will actually sit on an angle, and this piece here will be bent up so that it makes good contact, because this is an upwards angle here. And let's get everything cut and sized, and we'll install it. Alright, well, basically what I've done is mixed up a little 5-minute epoxy, just a little bit, and for now I've just installed the playing cards to act as a divider, so none of the epoxy will touch the back piece, and that's the final mount position for those magnets. And right now we're just going to permanently affix them with some epoxy. So nothing overly spectacular going on here. Just taking a magnet, throwing some epoxy on it, and we're also going to put some epoxy onto the corresponding surface of the chest piece. Just make sure that everything connects properly. Now what I did was I used a rough file and flattened the surface here, because I want to make sure that there's going to be some nice grooves for the epoxy to sit in, and I just want to make sure that the magnet's going to sit flat also. Okay, and just drop it, just give it a little wiggle so it seats. There, that'll ensure we don't stick on the other side. Good. And now the other one. And one thing to keep in mind when you're working with magnets, especially magnets that are mounted onto something that you're trying to retrofit it, you're gonna, when you cut it, you're gonna generate metal filings everywhere, and yeah, it's a pain to get the filings off of the magnet again. So that's something to bear in mind when you're saying, hey, I'll use this magnet, I just have to cut this up. If you can find the magnets, you know, order them online, which you can. I just, you know, I had these ones on hand and I figured I'd use them. If I didn't have anything, I just would have ordered some probably rectangular 1 to 2 millimeter thick magnetic plates online. You can find hundreds of them, hundreds of different people selling them for reasonable prices. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind, that if you are using magnets that are affixed to something, like a metal plate like these are, you're going to make a mess, and you're going to spend a while figuring out how to clean it up, because really you can't wipe metal filings off of a magnet. Why? Because it's magnetic. What I ended up doing was I used both magnets, and I used a piece of paper towel. I put one magnet on one side of the paper towel and the dirty magnet on top, and you clap them together and then drag it off. And there are some dirty spots on this towel, which is basically pulverized metal from when the sanding took place, from when the cutting took place. And clapping the two magnets together on opposing sides of the paper towel will allow the magnet underneath the paper towel to attract a lot of that fiber. And what you do is you pull the magnet away from on the underside, and the paper towel or the cloth will collect all the magnetic filings. Just, you know, one of those little things. Okay, well, now that these are all affixed into their spots, see, nothing too special. Just a couple of magnets hanging out with some epoxy on them. Once they dry, I'll tape up the surface of the magnet, and I'm going to run some epoxy around the perimeter, just so it envelopes the metal bracket. So once again, just epoxy around once this is tacked into place, just to provide some more stability and some strength, so when the metal plates pull apart, it's not going to stress out the piece. It's not going to want to pull the magnet off with it, and we should be good to go. So let's let this set and we'll move on. Alright, so after some cutting and bending and measuring and cutting and bending and measuring and cutting and bending, this is what we're left with. There we go. Now, these have been made to fit, and being that the magnets are in position, this is how they're going to fit. They're going to be epoxied onto this edge here, and they'll sit like that. It'll make contact against the magnet with this face, and this will be encased in epoxy, and it'll hold it onto the back plate. And the same bodes true for the other side. So, the piece will sit epoxied onto this face, and it will connect with the magnet on that side. And you know, I'm pretty happy with how the fit came out. Looks pretty good, nice and clean. And yeah, that's about it for that. Next is epoxy it into place, let it thoroughly dry, and we'll see exactly how well it holds. Alright, we're done. Here's the final look. There's the clips that will connect with the magnets on the corresponding side. Here's the mounting of the clips. And I figure what better way than, well, let's just give her a go. Alright. This thing is still very pointy. Okay, and this is the first time, so if there's any screw-ups, don't hold it against me. Alright, so we'll go with the bottom first, since we know that clips up. Okay, that's good. Oh, ow. Watch the skin. Oh, wow, that snapped together a lot easier than I thought it would be. Oh, okay. Feels alright. Ooh, little pokey. Feels pretty good. I think the chest is a bit too far forward right now. I think it actually has to roll back a bit. Oh yeah, that actually feels a bit better. And now the bottom is actually in line. My lower last couple ribs are just sticking out. So maybe it does have to come forward a bit. But it's on there pretty good. Now it's on. Yeah, I don't think that's going anywhere. Pretty good. One thing, I won't depend solely on the magnets. Excuse me. Yeah, I think that's a little bit too much faith. More faith than I'm willing to give. So what I'm going to do is I have these nylon straps and clips. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount one strap, permanently affix it probably to the inside of the pack, so it'll sit about right there with a strap. The corresponding end will be permanently mounted underneath the vent here, and the strap will come forward. And I'm going to orchestrate it in a way so the clip sits right in front of where the separation is from the front and the back. And the whole purpose behind this is it's not going to be tight. There's going to be about 2 inches, 3 inches of play inside, so that when I open this up, the nylon strap will clip taut, and I'll see the clip right there. Now, it's not there to permanently affix this. The only reason I want it there is in the event that I'm doing something, or like something happens and I push and it disconnects. There's nothing else holding this other than the magnets. So with the strap there, it'll catch it, and it'll just hang like this. That's what I'm going with for now. And I think it's just going to be a wise safety move to have a second layer, just in case the magnets don't hold. Well, that's about it for now. Been a little under the weather. It took a lot out of me to do this today. I didn't get as much done, near as much done as I wanted to do. But next time around, what we'll be doing is starting the work on the back plate, which is going to be a lot of work, a lot of different things to get it looking like those guys over there. There's a big difference. But that will be episode 7. Wow, there's already 6 videos. Tune in next time, and we'll have some fun. Definitely do some detail work, and maybe simultaneously we'll get the battle damage done for the front chest piece. Until then, this is Dave, aka Serial Killer, signing off. Take care, everybody.